host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 or so, and it is a
hump day.
That is right. And though on a normal Wednesday, we will go through our hump day headlines, today we continue our NFL training camp, 32 teams in 32 days with the Kansas City Chiefs. Plus, we also have our AFC West predictions. As we've told you, every time we complete a conference, we're going to give you our predictions on how that conference will play out. But we do have a headline for you from the National Football League and ESPN that we will get into in a second. But we remind you first, The Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, all the social media sites. If you missed the show, you want to share it with a friend, just find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search The Rome Show Podcast and bang, you'll find it, all of the locations. And then finally, okay, subscribe to the YouTube, youtube.com/12OZ Sports. That's the number 12OZ Sports, because if you have that subscribe button on for the YouTube, you will not miss a Rome Show. And I promise you, that is what you're looking for. All right, let's get to our first headline today before we break down our final AFC West team. It's a
hump day
headline for the people, and it starts with a huge deal in the media world specific to the National Football League and ESPN. Here's what happened. Yesterday, ESPN officially got the rights for the NFL Network and Red Zone and some other National Football League media assets. In the acquisition of the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, and some other assets, ESPN in the 2025 season will now air 28 games for the National Football League, and they will own and operate not only the NFL Network, but also, which is probably the most important part of this entire deal, it's the NFL Red Zone, which has been a staple for football over the last 10 to 15 years, started on DirecTV, and now has developed into kind of the only way that people watch football. And so ESPN for years now has been positioning themselves as a football-based sports network. Now, growing up, ESPN for me, Sports Center for me, that was my opportunity to watch and see all the highlights from all the sports. Well, as media has changed, as sports popularity has changed, and as ESPN has evolved over the last 10 years, it has been clear and obvious that ESPN has positioned themselves as a football primary network and then the other sports. We've talked about it on this show before. They've not renewed their Major League Baseball deal. So baseball will not be airing on ESPN next year. ESPN did re-sign hockey. So last year was the first year back, I think, maybe second year, but either way, that the National Hockey League's primary provider was ESPN, and it did a lot for that sport. But the bottom line is, okay, when the largest sports media company purchases the rights to the most popular sports league, I can only imagine this to be a good thing for the fans. Okay. And I think all ESPN has to do here is not really touch anything, starting with the Red Zone channel. Okay. Let Andrew Haney and his team do their thing, because that is the most popular show on television from September 1st until January 1st. Okay. I think this just gives the NFL an opportunity to expand whose eyes are on the NFL. I think there's a general thought here. There's no statistics to back this up. I think this is just a feeling of being a 35-year-old sports fan. ESPN, no matter what other sports networks try, is the best sports network. And I can disagree with what they're talking about in the middle of the summer. I can disagree with their lack of coverage on certain sports. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to assets and ability to broadcast sports, ESPN is the number one media company. And so now the number one media company is going to take the number one sport in our country, and I think take it to the next level. Here's what some of the higher ups had to say about this merger. By combining these NFL media assets with ESPN's reach and innovation, we're creating a premier destination for football fans. That's ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro. Together, ESPN and the NFL are redefining how fans engage with the game anytime, anywhere. This deal helps fuel ESPN's digital future, laying the foundation for an even more robust offering as we prepare to launch our new direct-to-consumer service. ESPN is about to release a direct-to-consumer service that essentially puts all of the ESPN and Disney services into one location for one flat fee, okay? And believe me, if it gives you a little anxiety right now, it should, because this is the streaming world we live in. It's like every 6 to 12 months, I got to think about purchasing a new streaming service, or I have to say, oh, well, maybe I need to download this app because this app gives me like these 3 sports, but it doesn't give me this. And do I watch that more than I watch this? So what ESPN is trying to do here, and I think this is what everyone's been trying to do, but ESPN is starting it with football. It's like, okay, here's the deal. You want to come to the ESPN app for most of your sports, right? I'm on the ESPN app to watch my college baseball, to watch some other baseball games. I'm watching college football on there, right? Like, I'm already on the ESPN app to watch all of those other sports that aren't going to be on your regular scheduled television, okay? Well, now I can just pop that ESPN app on, hopefully, for one fee. It covers the National Football League. It covers the National Hockey League. It covers NCAA baseball. It covers NCAA football. For me, I don't need to look much farther than that. Okay? Obviously, Major League Baseball not covered on that. That bothers me. But I'm a rare in that situation. Most people just care about the football. College football, professional football, I'm good. And now I get it everywhere on the ESPN app. That's exactly what I'm looking for. The quotes continue. Today's announcement paves the way for the world's leading sports media brand and America's most popular sport to deliver an even more compelling experience for NFL fans in a way that only ESPN and Disney can. That was Walt Disney's chief executive officer, Robert A. Eager. Commissioner Goodell and the NFL have built outstanding media assets, and these transactions will add to consumer choice, provide viewers with even greater convenience and quality, and expand the breadth and value proposition of Disney's streaming ecosystem. Since the 2003 launch of NFL Network, it's provided millions of fans unprecedented access to the sport, said NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Whether it was debuting Thursday Night Football, televising the Combine, or telling incredible football stories through original shows and breaking news, NFL Network has delivered. The network's sale to ESPN will build on this remarkable legacy, providing more NFL football for more fans in more and innovative ways. I don't know what this looks like when this is finalized. I don't know in a year from now what ESPN looks like. I have been calling it the Football Sports Network for a long time now. It has been obvious that ESPN is number one priority and they want the most of is the National Football League, is college football, is the sport of football. So the changes you've watched go on for the last few years with ESPN has been positioning itself for something like this. The NFL owners have to approve this sale. But I got to be honest with you. This is a genius move from the National Football League. They get the exact same coverage that they've always gotten, but in their minds better. Because the NFL was never set to be a media company. They were set to be a football sports league. Whereas ESPN has set out from the jump to be a sports media broadcasting gigantic company. And this is only the next step in that path. So we'll see. We shall see. I'm going to go ahead and guess that in 4 weeks, when this season kicks off, be prepared to watch your NFL Red Zone slightly differently. And it might not be insanely different because most people have ESPN, but it's not going to the NFL Network. And it's like the 5th straight year now, by the way, in the National Football League, where you've had to think about where you're getting your streaming services. Like we got the YouTube TV thing going on, plus you got the games on Amazon. I feel like there's a random Apple TV game, plus you have ESPN. It's kind of wild. And I don't know if this is maybe an answer to that. Like, hey, well, if we put 75% of our product on ESPN, that's just so much easier for our fans. That would be my belief here. But saddle in, football fans, because it's another football season where you're trying to figure out what streaming service should I download. It's like the new game every single fall. It's not new on this show that we're breaking down 32 football teams in 32 days, and we're going to continue that after the commercial break right now with the Kansas City Chiefs, which is our final team in the AFC West. So after this commercial break, we'll talk about Patty Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, the Kansas City Chiefs, our predictions on what their 2025 season's going to look like. Then we will give you our predictions on the AFC West and the return, because we had some technical difficulties yesterday, of one of our favorite segments. Ba, 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 na, na. That's right. We are picking bananas again. Woo! So you got to stay with us for the last 15 minutes of the show. On the back end of this commercial break, I'm Andrew Romanella. This is The Rome Show. We're on 12 Ounce Sports, and we're back after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
It's the Rome Show!
Yeah! The Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. we broadcast live on YouTube and X. You can get in on the live action by commenting on the YouTube, youtube.com/12OZ Sports. While you're there, like and subscribe because you can get all the content on YouTube. I have started a YouTube page on the side with my beautiful fiance. We call it the Romanellas. We do some golf videos. We do a little bit of vlogging. We do some other things on there. So go check it out. But YouTube's awesome. Awesome. And to watch the Rome Show on YouTube, simple. Phone, tablet, computer, television. You got the YouTube app and you're subscribed to 12 Ounce Sports. The Rome Show should pop up every single day at 7 a.m., which should be the best part of your day. I mean, like, that's a great way to start your day. Me yelling at this microphone, talking to you about my sports opinions. I say we just make it a date every day at 7 a.m. Oh, by the way, the Twitter, the Rome Show 1 as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is back to 32 teams. In 32 days, we are doing an NFL training camp breakdown. Going to remind you every day how we're doing this thing, breaking down a new team every single day. And then once that conference or division, I should say, inside the conference, the predictions come to an end, then we are going to predict the final four standings for what we believe. Now, just so everyone understands, we're just doing some little bit of research here, okay? I'm not a huge predictions guy, especially when it comes to like, predicting the entire season or trying to say what something 6 months in advance is going to happen. I am more of a, let's do some research and see if this can be the same as last year or if it's going to get worse or get better. And I think that's what we're doing a pretty good job of right now. We've done 7 teams so far. This is our 8th. If you have missed any of them, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Let's get it rolling. All right. Love when the music starts. It really gets you into the segment. All right, so we got the Kansas City Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. That is who we are breaking down today. The Kansas City Chiefs come off their 3rd straight Super Bowl appearance. That was against the Philadelphia Eagles. However, it did not go well for the Chiefs as they lost that game to the Eagles. And in doing so, kind of put a question mark on what's going to happen going into this season. It was a 40-22 loss, and it really showed that the Kansas City Chiefs might not have been the most complete team in the National Football League outside of the Eagles last season. It just showed, though, that the Kansas City Chiefs probably have the best quarterback and head coach, defensive coordinator combination in the league. Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, and Patrick Mahomes have showed a consistency factor in what they do that has allowed the Chiefs to be consistent throughout the last 6 to 7 years and win a few Super Bowls, if that. Last season, they finished 15-2. They were top 15 in points per game offensively with 22.6 per game. They were top 15 in passing yards per game at 222.4. They were 17th in total yards at 327.6 and 22nd in rushing yards at 105.3. When you look at this offense as a whole, from Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce to Rashee Rice to everybody else wearing the red, this was not an offensive year that was very positive for the Kansas City Chiefs. Their defense last year was the key clog in getting this team back to the Super Bowl. 4th in points per game, 19.2. 8th in rushing yards allowed, 101.8. 18th in passing at 218.8. And then 9th in total yards at 320.6. This was a top 10 defense in a lot of areas last year, which really led them to their success and to a 3rd straight Super Bowl. What do we think we're getting from the Kansas City Chiefs this year? Well, here are a few things I wrote down that are going to be super important. First off, the offensive line, okay? I feel like we've been talking about the offensive line and the Kansas City Chiefs for a few years now. Even in years when Patrick Mahomes has won the Super Bowl, I feel like we've gone into the next season saying, what type of offensive line is it going to be for the Kansas City Chiefs? Are they going to be able to keep Patrick Mahomes upright this entire time? Or are we going to have to talk about in the offseason how, though the Chiefs were really good, they need some help on the offensive line? So they signed Josh Simmons and Jalen Moore, though they did lose Joe Thuney. They traded him, though. I don't know if that's what they're looking for. First and foremost, the most important thing for the Chiefs this season is will the offensive line hold up? The second is, who the hell is Patrick Mahomes throwing the football to? Okay, you got a 36-year-old Travis Kelce, okay, who is still a great red zone target, but is Travis Kelce the threat that you've always needed him to be for the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes to a 17-game regular season? And then on top of that, is there someone talented enough behind him that if a team comes into a game and says, all right, here's the deal, we are shutting down Travis Kelce, he's not going to be the reason that the Chiefs win today. We are going to make Mahomes, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Royals, and others find a way to beat us. And if that's the case, I'm taking my money on most of the other teams than I am with that receiving core. Okay. Now, if Travis Kelce can be 900 yards in the regular season, 8 to 10 touchdowns, and be an elite top 5 tight end in the red zone, I think it could be a different conversation. But you still got to get to the red zone. You still got to move the football down the field. And that brings me to my third point with this team, the running back room. We got Kareem Hunt. We got Elijah Mitchell. Okay. Is that the answer? Are those running backs the answer? Is that what's going to be good enough for this Chiefs team? Because we already have question marks on their offensive line, and then you're like, well, who the hell's running the football? Okay. You don't even know for Shee Rice, by the way, wide receiver. It's a little bit of a Deebo Samuel there. Is even going to be eligible for the first few games because of a potential suspension. And Isaiah Pacheco returns, and he's injured, coming off of injury. So before you even get to the defensive side of this football team, do you have an offensive line? Can you get the running game going consistently? 22nd in the league last year is not going to cut it. Okay. And who the hell is going to step up in this wide receiver room? Because when you rate the wide receiver room, not even just in the National Football League, in the AFC, not even just in the AFC, in the AFC West, you're looking at it and you're going, do the Chiefs have the worst positional talent outside of the quarterback and tight end position? It's possible. And those are huge question marks going into this season. You just need your defense to be similar to last year, okay? Not an insane amount of changes on the defensive side, but when you have a few, both in the cornerback and the defensive tackle position, those two in the trenches and allowing big plays on the outside, those two matter a lot. So we'll see what happens there. But if Steve Spagnuolo can keep this defense 10th, 9th, kind of where they were rated last year, and your offense is just 12th to 15th in the league, there's no reason why this Chiefs team couldn't go to a 4th straight Super Bowl, because they've proven in past years with kind of a worse outlook that they could still get there and then potentially win that Super Bowl. George Karlaftis signed an extension, so he will stay and hopefully continue to bring double-digit sack totals for this defensive line. A lot riding on the offense for this Kansas City Chiefs team. So what am I thinking here? Okay, what am I thinking here? Not just for the Kansas City Chiefs, but what am I thinking for the entire AFC West? Well, here's what I got for the people. Okay, I do believe the Chiefs are going to win this division. The predictions I'm finding online are that they're going to finish between 13-4 and 14-3. When you look at the early parts of the Eagles' schedule, week 1 they play the Chargers, and they play them in Brazil, by the way. Week 2 they play the Eagles in the Super Bowl rematch. Week 4 they have the Ravens. Week 6 they have the Lions, and week 9 they have the Bills. So 5 of their first 9 weeks are against teams that are going into the season believing that they are good enough to win the Super Bowl. Okay, so after week 9, you're going to learn and know a lot about this Kansas City Chiefs team. However, I am going to put my bananas down where it has been for the last few years in believing that this team is who we thought they were. A really well-coached team that, despite any of the question marks they might have on either side of the ball, can compete for a championship every year because that's the culture inside of their building. So give me the Chiefs at 11-6 this year and give me them as the winners of the AFC West. From there, the second and third location are a crapshoot. I actually think it's going to come down to the final week or two of the season. I have the Denver Broncos finishing second and getting a wild card spot, and I have the Los Angeles Chargers finishing third and not getting a wild card spot. Why? I believe just a little bit more in the foundation of the Denver Broncos. Though what Jim Harbaugh did was great last year, though what Justin Herbert and the Chargers did was great last year, I don't know how much they have to make up the difference from being an 11-win team to a 12 or a 13-win team. I don't know if they have that. Do they have enough to win 9 or 10 games? Yes, but the Denver Broncos are good enough to do that same thing, as well as the aforementioned Chiefs. So that just puts me in a position to say, which of those teams do I believe in more? I believe in the Chiefs a little bit more. Then I believe in the Broncos just a tick more. Then I got the Chargers in third place. And then finally, finishing up with the Las Vegas Raiders, because I think at this point in time, we are just so unsure about Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, and the rest of the talent on that Raiders team that you're going to most likely maybe see an improved team from 4-13 last year, but not a team viable enough to compete against the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Chiefs. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my breakdown of not only the Kansas City Chiefs, but the AFC West. I've said it 1,000 times so far, and I want you to know, if you want the predictions and the breakdowns, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. All right, let's finish this thing with my favorite segment that has been gone for a little bit now, but we are bringing it back, and it is
Ba 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 na na ba 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 na na.
Oh, yeah. We got the minions getting us going for today. We got a little bit of bananas going on today. And I'm going to make this quick, and it's going to be in Major League Baseball. Right. Major League Baseball is freaking wild right now. The Yankees are not great. The Mets are not great. The Red Sox have been streaking. The White Sox aren't as bad as you thought. The Rockies have actually won some baseball games. The Miami Marlins, they swept the Yankees for the first time in the history of their franchise. That actually happened. So if you haven't been watching baseball, if you've been getting so excited for National Football League season, which I understand, and you've neglected baseball, don't. Because the next month of the season down the stretch is going to be electric. And I can tell you right now, when you're looking at the standings, you don't even know. What you're looking at on the standings right now most likely won't happen to end the season. That is how baseball season has gone all year. So I got one pick for you here, okay? We're talking Pittsburgh. We're talking San Francisco. The Giants are traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Pirates tonight, okay? Well, they've been in a series, but we're talking about tonight. Though Pittsburgh has not been able to win enough games, especially when Paul Skeens is on the mound, they are third best in the Major League Baseball league. Well, I don't know why I said it that way. In MLB against the spread at home, 36-21. And right now, they are underdogs against the Giants at home. The Giants are favored by a run and a half, okay? When you flip the script and you look at the Giants, they are bottom 8 in the league against the spread on the road. Okay, what's that simply mean? If the Giants are favored by 1.5 against the spread, means they're actually losing that more times than they're winning that. And flip side for the Pirates, they're winning way more against the spread at home than they are anywhere else. So I'm going to take the underdog Pirates at PNC at home tonight against the Giants. We'll take them at the plus 1.5, and that is the bananas on the day. Welcome back to my favorite segment, and that's the Rome Show here, 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube and X. You know the drill. Back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. continuing our 32 teams in 32 days National Football League status, we'll flip it back to the NFC with the NFC South. You got to tune in at 7 to find out what team we're going to talk about. I'm Andrew Romanella. This has been The Rome Show. Thank you to our mothership, 12-Ounce Sports. Thank you to you, the listener. Without you, this thing don't happen. You have an electric
Update.
and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Thank you for listening.